Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Teen Mice Chronicles, another guest episode. I think this is going to become a norm for this podcast. Yeah, that is the
Hopefully.
guest. No, sorry.
I did the same thing. Just now.
I'm pretty sure you already know his name because it's actually written. Because we're using some new software, fancy. Hopefully, we're going to keep using it. Maybe not. God only knows. But yeah, everybody welcome Ivan. Hey.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Again, Ivan or Ivan? How do
Ivan,
people call
Ivan.
you? Like,
Oh,
how do
it's
people
all
call you
different.
at school, at whatever?
In schools, half the teachers call me Ivan, half them Ivan. Half at home they
Ah.
call me Vanya. I have 4 different names.
You know, we talked, Ivan and I, before the episode, and I've determined 2 things. First, he's literally half my age, which also makes him half your age, B.
Yeah.
And his father is of the age of many of my friends. So I basically hang out
Okay.
with people his father's age. So
Okay.
that kind of sounded cool. Obviously, your dad is much more mature of a dad because I have small kids. So that's not what I was going for. Just so that we're clear. and we are, how do you call that? Game friends, game mates, game blah blah. Because we play Among Us with Ivan, right?
Yes.
Did I
yes.
say it correctly? I didn't use playmate. I didn't use boy toy. I said it well.
Yes, that was
Okay.
very well said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Intro done.
Thank you for joining us in another episode of Teen Mice Chronicles. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you want to be part,
Ivan.
Yes.
Ivan. Thank you for joining the podcast. As you can see, we obviously don't have much experience with guests, especially. Oops, I think we just lost B. That's fine. He'll probably rejoin.
Yeah.
But we don't have much experience with guests, especially not guests as young as you. So why not tell us like a quick story in terms of who you are, where you're coming from, and why are you in this podcast?
Yeah. So I
rage quit because I wasn't the imposter.
We don't care, B. We were just continuing the podcast without you. But you were sus.
You were
Of
sus.
course.
So my parents born in Russia.
Mhm.
Met each other in Poland to do our PhDs in chemistry. My dad found a job in the United States, moved there. I was born in Poland, but I moved when I was like 6 months. So I was raised in the United States. Did not know any English till the age around 6. That's when I went for the schools.
Hold on. Which language did you speak before?
I spoke Russian.
Mhm.
At
Do you
home.
still
And
speak
still do.
Russian?
I still speak Russian, yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you like scare people with Russian?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, it's fun.
Now is the optimal time to scare people with Russian.
Yes. It's all the time. Everyone in school's like, oh, he's a Russian spy. I once brought a book to school that was in Russian, and my teacher's like, well, it must be writings from Putin. Telling him the election.
Like direct link with Putin. So,
Yeah.
You lost the headphone, B.
I know, you don't need to remind me. I do have nerve endings in my ears.
Thank you for that level of detail. That's impressive.
Thank
So
you.
since we started on this topic, right? You being like a child of a Russian immigrant, that would make you what generation Russian American?
I mean, technically, I'm first generation, but I mean, by 7 months. So it's like on the edge. Because,
7 months.
so effectively, I'm 100% American from like growing up, but if you look at technicalities. I was not
Yeah,
born.
but you speak Russian, therefore you are considered Russian.
Yeah, well, in America, it's also very different because in America, you gain citizenship if you were born in America.
Yeah.
Everyone in America assumes that if you're born in a country, you're that nationality. So after I say I
Uh-huh.
was born in Poland, people are like, "Oh, you're Polish," and I'm like, "No, I'm not Polish." 14 generations back, we're all Russians. I'm a Russian, and they're like, "Well, but you were born in Poland, so."
So you told them you were Russian, but you're
Yes.
telling us you're American. It's
That's
sus.
born
It's
in
very
Poland.
sus.
I was born in
Yeah,
Poland.
yeah.
I would say, I mean, I was raised as a Russian American. I'm a Russian American. That's the
So
most.
you're born in Poland.
Yes.
So you're Catholic.
No.
Let's skip this part.
Yeah. So actually, to be quite honest with you, speaking to you today, or well, this evening for us, gives us a bit of a unique opportunity to look into how it looks like to be an Orthodox Christian teenager, which I never was. And in your context specifically in the United States, that could also be pretty interesting. So please don't mind if we kind of start shooting you with questions.
Of course.
I for one would like to know, you living in the States. Here's how it looked like when I was a teenager, right? You had Christians and non-Christians. As far as I was concerned, I thought I was an atheist. Like that's what I thought about myself. That's what I told everybody around me when I was like your age, 17. And I would see others as either Christian or non-Christian. To me, it was the same thing. And to me, Christian was Orthodox Christian. That's what you get when you are a teenager in Serbia. Mm-hmm. I can imagine that does not look like that in the United States.
It's
so
quite...
How many religions do you encounter like on a daily level, especially in school and stuff?
Well, there's many. Well, the vast majority of Christians are Protestant or Catholic in the United States, depending on which state and what regions. But I think it's only like 0.5% of the population is Orthodox Christian. So it's like very small. But I would say a lot of teenagers, especially, like even the religious ones, they will say, I am a Christian, and they hold some of the basic beliefs, but they don't go to church, but they're just general religious.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. I mean, but yeah.
But very few teenagers, even ones that go to church regularly, are like really interested in the church. They're mostly just there. So
yeah. So how many of your friends are Orthodox actually? How many of them attend church?
I would say 2 of my good friends go to church regularly and Orthodox.
Great. Are you an altar server?
I am an altar server, yes.
A fellow colleague. M wouldn't get our altar humor.
Yeah, he wouldn't get our altar jokes.
By the way, what is your biggest altar pet peeve?
Biggest altar pet peeve? Ooh,
Well, being the altar boy.
Let me think. Oh, it's... Well, one thing... I guess it's when... I never thought of it as pet peeves, but...
I'll give you one.
Oh, it is. Whatever you think it is, it's a pet peeve.
When you're in a rush to set incense and it does not start to fume, and you give what we will call a dead censer to the priest, and then he still does the sensing, but it does not fume, and it's like radiating this awkwardness, and you don't know who has it worse. Is it you because because you were responsible for it? Is it for the priest or the deacon because they're actually doing it with nothing? Or is it for the people who are like, oh, finally, the censor, the thing we all like, and there's nothing?
Or sometimes you put way too much. I've done that before, and like
there's never too much. Never too much.
Oh,
Yeah, if you hear the grandma doing like,
oh yeah,
it's too much.
yeah. Once I have to share this story. It's really brief. Once we ran out of charcoal, so somehow we got this brilliant idea to actually put toothpicks, which we dipped in oil, to serve as like kindling. It did well for like first minute, but then because this was literal wood that stepped in oil, it started blazing, and you had like pre-sensing, but the whole thing was burning, and I'm like, if this thing ended up on YouTube, it would get views as that huge sensor in Spain that goes through the entire church.
Or when that Catholic kid's hair gets ablaze.
No, I have one pet peeve. Pet peeve.
Okay.
So sometimes we get young people who serve, and they always when they bow with the candle, they lean the candle, and all the wax drips. And if it gets everywhere, and it's annoying.
When we do like baptisms and so on, and people usually expect when they come to our chapel that baptism will last for like 10-15 minutes, and we prove them wrong because we make them go through the entire liturgy. And we usually tend to tell them after a couple of bad experiences that they should put candle away from their face, because usually they put it rather close, like so candle tip is around here, so nothing gets a fire. But what they're doing essentially is that they're inhaling all of the exhume from the candle, and suddenly they simply faint, So we learned our lesson.
I have the same pencil.
Oh, Stabilos.
Mm-hmm.
You are freakishly, stalkingly inclined. What do you use them for, though? What do you use them for?
Well, okay, I'll tell you why I have them. I had a German exchange student come for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And he came with one Stabilo, and he's like, this is the only thing we use in Germany. He's like, every student just has Stabilo. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'll try them. And I bought a bunch of them, and I use them. So I use them for writing for a little bit, but I have them in my desk just sitting.
I love drawing with them. They're perfect, and they're great even for writing. Once you get used to them, like ordinary ball pens are out of the picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And M is now probably thinking something along the lines of, well, you people who use pens and pencils to write.
No, you just forgot what I used to write. I love writing. I just use a different kind of pen.
Ah.
Yeah, but with that pen you can't ruin a wall.
No. I can't help but notice, because it was shown to me, that you have an interesting photo right behind you. Well, actually, two of them now that I think about it.
Yes, indeed.
That's all I'm gonna say. Now,
I am chillingly going to ignore them, because I already had a reaction to them while we were preparing for the episode, which is a rather good joke. I hope it's a joke. I hope you did print them right before this episode. I will assume the best.
I think it's a good joke. I mean, if you look at the way he glued it to the wall, he's just using like an improvised strip. Yeah, there's the weapon.
CSI mice.
Yeah. So okay, we identified that you have two. That's impressive. Orthodox friends, church-going Orthodox friends,
yes.
Christian Orthodox friends. I was told not to mix the general Orthodox with Christian Orthodox. But do you have any friends outside of Orthodoxy in terms of Christian? I'm talking Christian. Obviously, you have friends who are not, religious. I mean,
yeah, I definitely have a few friends. I have, for example, one friend who has one parent who's Catholic, one parent who's Protestant.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually pretty common.
You're gonna have to dump this friend. You're gonna have to dump this friend.
No. Like no. He should convert him or her to Orthodoxy because the child is already in mixed marriage. Like, what's another Orthodox in the family? Like, nothing really changes that much.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say dump him into Orthodoxy.
Oh yeah, okay.
That was my that was my game. But you ruined it. I didn't mean like abandon your friend. That kind of sucks. That kind of not cool. I mean, unless you're playing Among Us, then like cheat, lie, and murder, and eject, or throw into lava,
and slander, slander
with reckless abandon.
Of course.
Okay, fair enough. So two friends who attend church. Where do you attend church? Is it nearby? Do you have to travel?
For me, it's 20 minutes, but that is close. Before our church moved, I think it was like 7 years ago. It was, I think, 40 minutes to drive. But I know people who drive an hour, sometimes an hour and a half to get to church.
Mm-hmm.
So
you have to drive. Yeah. You see, that's another thing that would have been different if I was a Christian when I was your age, because in Belgrade, you have to have a church within walking distance. It's impossible not to. But then when I was faced with how things look like in America, like when I was in LA, which is the only city I visited in the United States, I had to drive. The first time I had to drive, I think, an hour and a half, and the second time, maybe even more. I don't really know. To the same church, which was like, wow, it's actually quite an effort. And I thought I was making a sacrifice. I actually drive to church every week because I left, like I moved, but I still love going to the church that I love, and it is what it is. The community's there, the people are there. I'm going there, period. And I'm driving every week, and it's like a 22 maybe 25-minute drive every Sunday. And I thought I was like, this is to drive, oh my god. And then everybody in the United States are like, well, I'm driving for an hour and a half, and I'm like, that's fine, I guess. When does the liturgy start? 10 a.m. When?
9. Actually, wait.
At least...
No, 10. 9 we wake up, 10 it starts.
Oh, lucky.
What?
Yeah.
It starts at 9 in Belgrade, but when I go to my wife's hometown, it starts at 8.
In Serbia, the more north you go, the later it starts. For example, in like the northern province of Vojvodina, it is usually around 10, maybe even later. But like when you go south, you can even have it at 8, and like, why? By the way, Ivan, would you describe yourself as a Christian gamer?
I guess I would describe myself as a Christian gamer.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Games? Among Us, I would say a Christian game.
The most Christian game. I mean, video games don't have to be bad or good, although they can be used for both. So, I guess it isn't... I don't know how to say this. It's not like... I don't exclusively play Christian games or non-Christian games.
Yeah.
But what would be a Christian game?
I know this game called... Do you know the game Monopoly?
Yeah.
So there's this game...
Monopoly, what?
There's this version of the game called Generosity, where it's like Monopoly, but instead of beating everyone, you just have to donate the most money to the poor. So that would be a Christian game.
This has to have been invented by a Protestant. It just absolutely has to have been.
I didn't want to say it out loud, but I did think about it. But so wait, what prevents you from like donating everything on Square One?
I haven't played. I've just heard of this game.
Okay.
But
no. When I thought Christian gamer, I didn't mean like do you play Christian games, but simply you're a Christian, you're a gamer, then you're a Christian gamer. It does not mean, because we had a rather interesting episode with Ivan, that I found really interesting. We were on Discord and we were preparing to play for a party. We were waiting for everyone to gather, and I leave Ivan with an acquaintance I have recently just met, which is the most potty-mouthed person you ever seen. Like, as we would say here, he swears like a coach driver.
Gary.
Or a sailor. Yeah, Garrett. So I have absolutely no idea what this guy even thinks about religion. I have met him like maybe 5 days prior. I know nothing about the guy, and I'm like, guys, I need to recharge my phone for like 5 minutes. I'll be right back. I come after 5 minutes. I put my headphones and I hear Garrett. So what? So just because God gave somebody cancer, like he has to die because of the punishment. And then you see Ivan completely composed. No. You see, in our view, we all suffer disease, but God judges each and everyone differently. So the example you have given, he would be judged much more mercifully than someone who was given complete knowledge. And you have the most potty-mouthed person in the universe saying, I never thought about it that way. And I'm like, what did I miss here?
It was quite a conversation because so we started talking and he's like, how old are you? And I'm like, 17. He's like, oh, you're so young. And first thing he says, he's like, life will get to you. He's like, life is terrible. Life sucks. And I'm just like, I need to learn more about this. Like, where's this coming from? And we get to the topic of God, and he's like, well, God can't exist because I think he gave Bill Burr's example of if you have a wife and she's keeping him a husband or something like that, and then the guy did nothing wrong, and then he just gets killed, or then he kills his wife because he just snaps, and then he gets life sentence in prison.
Does nothing wrong, kills wife, of course.
Yeah. So I like to argue about a lot of different things, so I was like, okay, I'll challenge your point. Yeah, but I remember Boyd comes in, and he's just like, what?
I'm like, what did I miss? And I immediately sort of I thought that the conversation started from a different, but very similar, like, oh, where do you know Boyan from? Oh, from his podcast. He has a podcast. Yeah, it's Teen Mice Chronicles. It's about religion. And then you start, whatever happened. And I'm like, I was immediately reminded of that verse from the Gospels, which says, no one recognizes the prophet in his homeland. And I'm like, okay, this is the guy which I know, and I probably wouldn't go all religiously on him, but some random person on the internet, like instantly, like my mother lives with me, and like I have this huge icon corner in my room. I go to church services all the time, and like she comes like, oh, Boyan, you can't believe what my maid of honor from my wedding 30 years ago told me. She said that prayer is so powerful, and I'm like, yeah, I know. And we had such a good example of Ivan converting, well, not exactly converting, but creating this first crack in somebody's opposition to religion.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't expect like a full-on conversion,
yeah.
But I think it's a great thing when somebody takes a step back. What I find super fun is when we were kind of out of players at some point, and we have created like a separate Discord for Teen Mice Chronicles. If people who follow our YouTube channel would like to join and play with. And then we're like, should we merge them? And we're like, I don't know. I mean, the crew here is like specific, but who cares? Like, we're all people. Like, who cares? And then we're like, guys, we're gonna add some people from our other Discord, and it's kind of a religious group, so behave. And they immediately started swearing left and right, like 15 times worse than they were before. And it was like, honestly, I don't even think it was
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It's simply because they switched languages, and because they are sort of more. It's more saucy when you do it in English, somehow,
Oh yeah.
It rolls off your tongue more easily.
We have different personalities in when we're speaking English. I can attest to that. I can fully attest to that. I am a different person when speaking English. I guarantee that. So the person you're conversing with right now is not the same person that I am behind. He's an imposter, absolutely, like a freaking alien imposter. But the point is, like, over the years, as I was using English more and more, I actually had to like. It's starting to merge, but very, 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 very gradually. It's still merging, but there's still a huge difference, like literally different personality. So I guess this kind of triggered them, like we're switching to English, and then suddenly it's like gaming language left and right, which is like you can only expect so much.
Even you have quite a lot of medals over there. Are those yours?
Yes, they are mine, and the people I stole them from. Judo.
Excellent. So you're into ice skating.
Judo.
Yes, ice skating. So you are into figure dancing?
Of course, yes.
Excellent. No, like all Russians. Do you want to see my medals? My sports medals?
I want to see your medals, yes, of course.
So what did you think about them?
Oh, they were so big.
Literally nothing, not even participation prize. I know, Em. Shut up.
I was about to.
So you're into judo. Hey, Em, aren't you into judo or some other such time waste?
Says the guy who spends his time drawing stuff.
Yeah, duh.
I don't know. That's a side project comic, new edition.
Yeah.
Of course, it's something about Among Us and angels.
No, this one had Among Us. So wait, and what are your martial fighting skills?
Fighting skills?
Yeah,
I wouldn't call it like that.
Oh,
I honestly fully separate what is martial art and what is like the skill of fighting. I think these are two completely different things, even though they obviously have strong connecting points. So sorry, but I will not allow you to. Who cares? Talk about it any way you want. I'm a practitioner of Aikido, which is and I'm talking about like the core 100% traditional Aikido that was taught by the founder of Aikido.
Mr. Aikido.
Sorry?
Founder of Aikido, Mr. Aikido.
Yeah, exactly. The founder called Mr. Aikido. And that's not Steven Seagal, you Americans.
Just imagine that ridiculous scene where you think like Aikido means the way of the shadow of the dragon of the steel and something like that, and it turns out that it's simply named according to its founder, and it's just Mr. Aikido.
That would be fun. Well, actually, I interviewed the guy who's teaching me, like the master. He's a great guy. And he actually doesn't only do Aikido. He's trying to get me to do boxing, which I'm like still opposing because I simply don't have the time and energy. I'm a weak person with very little time. And when we're talking about different martial arts, especially specifically ones coming from Japan, he's like, want me to tell you a secret, which is not really a secret. It's like these are all the same skill basically, with some difference in flavors, and the names are basically a financial category. which is like, it's like the same skill that the Japanese have sold specifically to the Western world, like it's gold. They keep selling it to them with a spoon. Although in the light of today's MMA and whatnot, these traditional martial arts are losing popularity left and right, because it is their usability in reality that is very questionable, specifically what's being taught nowadays. I mean, this guy might do something in a fight. He's, being a judo, but only if he ends up being grappled. If he encounters like a kickboxer or something, there's gonna be trouble. Because this guy ain't gonna be grappling.
Remember, people. If you do judo, you can only defeat somebody who's also using judo.
No, this is very much untrue. Every decent fighter will always tell you that, it ends up depending on the individual. How one is, well, a couple of things. Physically ready, psychologically ready. You have people who fight, man, and you have people who don't fight. I'm one of those people who does not fight. I will fight only if adrenaline kicks in. So that means I have to get frightened or something. Then hell breaks loose. God only knows what happens. But I'm not a fighter. I don't have that in me, right?
I know, and you're totally immune to adrenaline. You actually have to take adrenaline shots to feel any emotion.
Oh my God, you know me so well.
I know. I'm clairvoyant on the side too. I'm not just a comic on the side. I'm also clairvoyant.
Yeah. Don't lie. We've been chatting on Viber, while we were talking to Ivan, and I was feeding you the information.
Yeah. So
clairvoyance of the 21st century. He knows a guy and he has him on Viber. That's, for you Americans, that's WhatsApp basically. For Serbia and the rest of the Balkans,
I use Viber too.
Oh, there you go.
What? Wow, so somebody's using Viber who is not.
He's from Russia. He's from Russia. Of course, he's going to use Viber.
Is that the reason? Explain.
My cousins and their family live in Ukraine, and they use Viber, and they brought us into it.
I told you.
But it has to be the Slavs. It has to be the Slavs. Here's the thing. Like I was like, I meet a new colleague, maybe more than half a year ago, and he's like, can we exchange WhatsApp? And I'm like, WhatsApp? Who uses WhatsApp? And he's like, everybody. And I'm like, no, it doesn't make sense, because from my perspective, everybody uses Viber. And I'm like, let me show you. And I Google. Turns out Viber's share is like, it's so I don't have any information about that. Again.
Somebody's in your house.
Stupid thing activates when you don't want it to. But anyways, what was they saying? Yeah, the share was like something down the lines of 200 million versus like 2 million, like something like that, like ridiculous. It was such a ridiculous difference in favor of WhatsApp. I was like completely convinced that nobody really uses Viber. And when I come to think about it, I don't even know why we're using Viber when we have WhatsApp.
Okay, I need to quote a coworker of mine. He was like, why do people keep using Viber? I mean, WhatsApp has it all plus more. And then he's constantly complaining to me over Viber desktop, like, move on to WhatsApp. I mean, I do have both, but simply out of convenience, I tend to use Viber more. And he's like, come on, join me. WhatsApp master race.
So you use both, right? Yeah, Ivan, you use both Viber and WhatsApp, obviously.
Yes.
Ivan, you're you belong to the category that legally is defined as kid, which will probably make comment section in this video disabled once we upload it. What social media do younglings like you use now predominantly?
Oh my God, here it comes. Christian dating apps, Christian cooking meals apps, Christian everything.
What?
Please.
Okay, can you imagine a 17-year-old using any of those?
Me? No.
Precisely. Do go on, Ivan.
So, I know a lot of people use Snapchat. A lot of people use Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Those are like the two predominant communication apps.
Okay.
And then, as far as like, there's a lot of other small ones. Like, okay, TikTok is huge, obviously.
Yeah. By the way, it's not obviously for us old guys, so you have to indulge us.
First of all, speak for yourself. Who's old? Well, when you compare yourself to him, maybe, but no. And second of all, can you? What is Snapchat? I mean, I know what Snapchat is, but how does one use Snapchat? Why is it so popular? Why?
Okay, Snapchat is popular because, like Apple, it's very easy to use. All you can do. Okay, I feel like Wayne's a little disagreeing, but so Snapchat, you can do two major things. You can basically like message people, and you can take pictures, very quickly send pictures to each other, and you can use a bunch of filters too, with like dog face filter and face swap filter, and there's like hundreds of different filters you can use. And so I would say the number one reason people use Snapchat is a lot of people use it. It's really easy, really simple.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have had Snapchat for maybe 10-15 minutes. My opinion is that it is so far removed from easy to use as it can get, because from that starting menu, I'm like, okay, let me add a friend. I'm like, where do I press? I mean, there's all these icons that I mean, it's so much more intuitive on other apps, and these are just some icons that, okay, friends. Okay, it's not that. Okay, so starting menu.
You didn't turn on the boomer mode.
Precisely. Boomer mode, where all profile pictures are like this. Then, I remember watching or listening to, don't even remember that part, a Catholic priest was like, guys, like he said this in a sermon, I listen to your kids' confessions. Delete their Snapchat immediately. So I like to call it the sin app.
I have to say, I personally really, especially Instagram, I think Instagram is one of the most stupid things for individuals. I think companies, it's really good for companies because they can show their product. But like, especially like a lot of teenage girls, lots of pictures of themselves on Instagram. And it's like, or like stuff like, look at what I eat today for dinner. All your friends, they already know you. They don't need to know more about you. People who don't know, they don't care about you. It's like, I don't know you. Who cares who has what you have for dinner?
Unless you are a teenage girl posting your photos on Instagram.
Unless you're a teenage girl posting photos. But for majority of people, they don't have good intentions on Instagram or a good reason to be on Instagram. So
yeah.
From my perspective, Instagram is the fakest fake in the world of fakes. Where people post fake lives and like each other's fake lives, and like it's so ridiculous to me that I just couldn't make myself create an Instagram account. Then I did. I have one photo there, and I use it to follow just a couple of things, specifically because business.
Just a couple of models.
No. Honestly, I am so appalled by the open sharing of one's sexuality nowadays, that I actually have this
People don't do that.
Oh God, no. That I have this habit. For example, I still, for the life of me, can't understand why, but I'm still using Twitter, and I just prefer using Twitter because of the fast sharing and knowing of information, sometimes false information, but still, I have this habit on Twitter, like, how people block on Twitter. It's a thing.
Yeah.
I block left and right when somebody's like, hate speech politics. I block that very often. But what I do is I keep muting girls and women who post their photos, because with Twitter, stuff that people like or retweet ends up in your timeline, and it's ridiculous. Like I find all these photos like such a cry for attention from all sorts of people, and I'm like, go to Facebook or Instagram or something and post those photos there, because that's where you should be collecting likes. That's where your lady friend is supposed to be like, oh my God, you're so gorgeous, and oh my God, so are you. And it's like that, I get that on Instagram, but I don't get that on Twitter, and I honestly, like, it's
why? Why? Likes a like. It gets you that dopamine drop in your brain. So.
No, I get it, but if you're a girl, or posting pictures of girls, because a lot of them do it, and it's probably not them, it's easy to get a like.
Well, this is some of my opinion. Like, people are searching for themselves, and some of them simply settle for that low effort, snap me, like me,
Snap me, like.
Well, literally, for example, I don't know, if I didn't find, okay, this is not something that I would definitely do, but who knows, maybe if I didn't do Bible Illustrated or this podcast or what have you, maybe I would be this huge muscly guy who would post his pictures on Instagram and be the next Dan Blazarian or something. That's not me, so in all probability that wouldn't happen, but, it is easy for me, who knows what I want to do with my life, to be like, well, like, you shouldn't do that, because, I mean, of course, out of Christian reasons, we shouldn't do that. But I do believe that people are mostly still searching for something to fill that void within them, and,
if you want to justify such behavior, you can justify it in many ways. Like, yeah, people are searching for themselves. If you tell me that a teenage girl, for example, posting explicit, let's be honest, these are explicit photos, like literally half naked. What you can't tell me, you can't tell me here. You can respond to this, perhaps, Ivan. Are they really not aware of who watches that? Are they really not aware of the sexual predators, the bad people who get to actually look at those photos? Are they really that ignorant and unaware? Tell me, or what?
I can tell you. So what I can see happening a lot is you have some supermodel.
Mm-hmm.
Or just supermodels. And I mean, it's talked a lot about how unattainable ideals, but like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of girls that just want to feel like they're cool or something. Like I can even see this with my sister. Like they just want to have a photo that makes them look trendy or cool or popular. So I don't know if they're aware. I don't know if they even, I don't think that's, their goal is just, I don't know. People just think Instagram is important, and I don't 100% understand why. It's just, for some people, it just seems like it's so important that no matter who sees it, someone must see them, and it approves them. It's just reassuring them. Yes, you're pretty. Yes, you're okay. Yes, you're whatever. So
sorry, B, you don't think they think about the potentially bad consequences of that?
I mean, a lot. I do not associate myself with enough of those people to know for sure. That's the honest answer.
Probably your crowd doesn't use Instagram?
Not really, no. I mean, I'm more of a, I choose my friends more carefully. And
you're like a metalhead from our age.
Yeah.
So I will like I'll be like friendly to everyone, but I won't make any like close friends with people unless
I won't make any eye contact.
I do not speak to those who are below me.
Oh.
Or it's like if they approach me, I just speak Russian to them and they leave.
Always a good approach.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, sorry for the outburst of negativity against Instagram, but I don't like it. I just
Who does like it? Who truly does like it?
I don't know. Many obviously see it as a platform for them to realize this or that goal. It's obvious, like especially businesses, as even intelligently mentioned earlier. But nowadays, what people maybe don't even understand, all social media is business.
Yeah.
You have multinational, multi-billion-dollar companies who give you this for free. So you think about where all that money is coming from, and that's about all you need to know. So social media, I mean, it's a topic we could chew on forever, and it would never be done. But I guess what we're trying to figure out is like what kind of like when I was 17, I had a cell phone, and I played Snake, the game,
and that's
on my cell phone. We used to SMS each other a lot. Like SMS was the thing. Like people would even copy like love notes and stuff. You would go online maybe to find a decent note to send somebody for Christmas or something. Yeah, we all hated those chain SMSs.
Yeah, we still do.
But nowadays, you guys are growing up with all sorts of applications. So there's an app for everything. That I think that was said in like 2010 or 2011 or this is all like old. That there's an app for everything. There really is. So I'm wondering, like what kind of applications do you have on your phone?
Well, let me check. Let me look. So
super interesting to me.
Yeah.
Orthodox calendar. All of them.
I do have Orthodox calendar on here actually.
All of them.
Oh, nice! And even on front on main page.
So I have Among Us on main page. I have an alarm clock. I have my bank. I have alarm clock.
At 17.
Yeah, and I didn't even have pocket money.
Orthodox calendar, Gmail, phone, messages, maps, Chrome, and camera. I also have there's Viber, Google Meet for school, and Discord for gaming.
That's it.
That's my main. I mean, I have all my other ones down here.
But this was about the ones you use, like
well, those are the main ones. I mean, I have a few games that are like I'm bored, like some small games, Clash Royale, a few other ones. Let's see.
Minecraft,
eBay, Craigslist. Sometimes sell some stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Like I can't imagine selling something at 17. Like where, how?
Well, via Craigslist.
Craigslist, yeah, Craigslist is interesting.
Yeah,
it really is. I've seen stuff.
Craigslist murderer.
So I didn't expect so little. I expected like at least double the apps that you mentioned. But you see, I've yet to be surprised, obviously, because I kind of imagine since I'm using an app for everything, at my age, that if I was like a teenager, that I would really, really use an app for everything. Especially since I kind of see that the culture of using and actually paying for applications is much different than it is, in the States than it is here, for example.
I know a lot of people spend a lot of time watching films and movies on Netflix, Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
That is something I watch for YouTube mostly.
Yeah.
Versus Netflix, but I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
You don't binge on Netflix?
No, I don't know.
You don't watch TV shows?
I don't know. Never got into it.
That's interesting.
Wow, that's possible for today's teenagers.
I mean, but it's a rare occasion. I can tell you that.
Did you watch cartoons when you were younger?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry?
Ну, погоди. Oh, I watched a lot of Soviet movies when I grew up.
That's what destroyed you.
I wanted to say like Worker and Parasite from The Simpsons.
I mean, to be fair, I do watch some. Like I watched Family Guy on YouTube, so I do watch things just through YouTube.
Yeah.
Strange humor, but yes.
I'm curious. Would you say that teenagers of today spend too much time on social media or on apps, on electronics?
Yes. You know, I found this fact. The average kid, guess how much time an average kid spends outside in the U.S.?
Nothing.
4 to 7 minutes.
How much?
4 to 7 minutes a day. And they spend an average of 7.5 hours on a screen.
Is that like the time it takes them to the school bus and from the school bus to the school and vice versa? Like, that's bad.
That's insane. Yeah, I was just, when I read the statistics, I was just shocked. But then I looked at my day and I was like, well, that's pretty accurate, especially now with virtual school. I mean, like, because with virtual school, I have to wake up at 6. School starts at 7:20, and then at 3 o'clock it ends. And then,
7:20.
7:20, yeah.
That's insane.
That's pure sadism.
Yeah. No. Like, but when I look at my day, I ask myself, what's a day?
No. To be honest with you, at 17, you couldn't get me to just be indoors. It's like, unless it was like very, very cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's definitely changed. Like I spent a few summers in Ukraine with my grandparents, and there it is very different, I have to say, because everyone lives in big apartments, and your little apartment is small. There's nothing to do.
Yeah,
you get out, and whoever's out there, you play. And we would just play like soccer all day, and we would be all day outside. But in the United States especially, everyone lives so much farther apart.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to just like, hey, let's go outside, because you're just alone standing there and you're just like, what do I do here?
That is different. The
curse of the urban sprawl.
Yes.
Hey, we didn't ask you, where do you live, by the way? Don't give us the address, please.
I live in Wisconsin, Milwaukee area, suburb of Milwaukee.
Oh, that's interesting.
Why is Milwaukee spelled like that? What's wrong with it?
Maybe it's some Native American
Milwaukee?
Spelling.
It's Milwaukee?
I don't know. I always have to use spell check for Milwaukee. It's so confusing.
I have to break M's mind. Like, why is it Kansas, but it's not Arkansas? Like, what?
The English language is so...
Yeah. I love its consistency.
Yes.
Arkansas. So I'm curious. Do you personally, and is there hopefully an emerging trend of teenagers going something along the lines of, no, I will take a day off of my social media. I will take weekends off of my social media. Or am I just a dreamer?
I mean, I've heard some people being like, I'm gonna post on my story, I am turning off all social media for a day. If you don't text me, I won't be able to answer. But it's most of them are not very
Still
serious.
for
Most of them
attention.
are just like, I'm so good. But
Yeah, it's sus. It's
yeah, the
sus
majority
when
majority
people
of
do that.
people are almost always on social media.
I'm taking a sabbatical from social media for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's
No, let's face it. B, you have to face this as well. We're like over 30, and we are also, you know, we are also like on this dopamine rush. We're hooked on it as well,
course.
and we're conversing with people. Like my job in a day is to talk to a lot of people,
Yep.
and exchange information with them. That's my job. And while doing that, you tend to make these people your almost friends or friends, and then you tend to share different things when the work is over. So in any given day, I end up texting people from work, family, like my wife and I. Like we text so much, even though we see each other every day. We text a lot. Like it was amazing when I look at the statistics. But I guess that's normal,
Mhm.
and I can only imagine how this looks like for somebody who's a teenager, because at that age you must have like million friends and acquaintances. At least that was like it was like that for me. So you are now, in terms of school, are you attending which school? Well, you don't have to say which school, but which tier,
I'm in the 12th grade. I'm a senior, so it's the last grade of high
whatever
school.
that means. Okay.
And
That's like our 4th year of gymnasium.
High school or gymnasium, middle school.
Yeah.
Right.
Or is it?
And what's next?
so then after that, I go to either university. Some people start working. Some people go to trade school. Some people go to 2-year schools, university. So
How about you?
I want to go to college, university. Yes.
Nice.
Hopefully, I mean, I'm looking at a few. I'm finishing applications actually like next week, but I'm applying to like 8 different universities, and
What's the field of study?
I want to go into physics.
Wow, that's quite
impressive. Most impressive. You want to go into physics, and you have like an end goal you would pursue, like theoretical physics or astronomy.
Ideally, if it was just like perfect world, I would be like Nikola Tesla, and I would just have my own laboratory and I just do experiments and just, if I can't sell,
die of poverty.
and have two nations basically compete if you're off one or off the other. About that, right?
If I was suffering from that much success. But realistically, making my own lab and working at it is probably not the most realistic. So my goal right now, or my plan, is to go into physics, see what I like, and because for sure, I know for sure that I like physics. I'm just not sure which particular avenue.
So interesting. I love physics. I loved physics. I even went to like local competitions in physics. But
I've got nothing.
Sorry?
I've got nothing.
Well, you were more like a social sciences guy, and I was more like natural sciences. Maths, physics. I mean, I ended up basically finishing a mix of business and engineering. So crazy. And you went into law, which is like the most boring thing ever.
It is.
Alas.
I don't even oppose.
But this guy is gonna be a physicist in one way or another. Like, you know what you might find interesting is the application of physics in medicine, for example. there's many applications of physics that you might actually like. I think that's a good choice, but just you have to be ready that unlike some other things in some other fields of study, physics is not something you go out and just apply your knowledge left and right. There's so much theory you have to chew through, and so many things and relations you need to get a hang of before you can actually like produce. And usually then you have to find an engineer or something to like build stuff for you. Like, I can't do this alone, damn it. But it's going to be fun. That's for sure.
No man's an island.
What?
No man's an island.
Okay.
You don't know. Forgive us, Steven.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine.
That's really interesting.
So,
like a future physicist who does figure skating judo and is an altar boy. Like, we have an Orthodox star in the future on our hands.
do you plan to remain Orthodox?
For sure. I've had too many good stories.
What kind of question is that? No, I plan to apostatize.
It's a cool question. Come on, it's a cool question.
Like,
So
yes, I definitely plan to stay Orthodox. Like, I hope the priest's not watching.
I promise.
Yeah.
So I sent B a video today that ruined his nap. I just had to share this. It's this like Catholic YouTube channel. I don't even know what it is. And somebody asked something
Catholic
about
answers. It's Catholic answers, and I assume that a lot of our audience is familiar with it.
Well, somebody asked about Orthodox Christianity, and the guy was like, the guy gave the most ridiculous argumentation for why you should not look into Eastern Orthodoxy. And I was amazed. It's like, we are bigger. It's like, literally, we are the bigger church. It's called the Catholic Church. We call it Catholic Church as well. That's fine.
Oh no! Like the creed says, we believe in Catholic Church, and we are called Catholic Church. And then, like, well, Mormons call themselves the Church of Jesus Christ. So maybe I should join them.
Scientologists have a church. We'll look into that.
I have to say, because of the majority or the minority of Orthodoxy in America, almost everything, like Christianity, if someone says Christianity, they instantly think of Catholic.
Yeah.
And like very, very few people know about Eastern Orthodoxy at all. It's
I became aware of that as soon as I started kind of educating myself on the state of things, state of religion in the world. So yeah, Orthodox Christians are in the minority, but in the whole world, it's a better thing. This is what we always say in Serbia. Us and Russians, 200 million. This is literally what we say. There's around, I guess, 7 or somewhat million Serbian people in Serbia, and then around the diaspora you have maybe an additional 5 tops. But then there's 200 million Russians across. So us plus Russians.
And now it is the ratio in this episode is 2-1, but we expect more Russians to come. So
yeah. No. He said he was American. I remember that. He's a Russian American. Russia is always presented in such beautiful light in the Western media. So
yeah.
This guy ends up, removing a head from a school professor, and the Twitter explodes. He's a Russian Chechen. I'm like, a Russian Chechen then? Okay, yeah, okay, all right, okay, right, sure, okay.
Well, American.
He was born he was born in Moscow.
Okay. Well, American isn't so much an ethnicity as much as it is a template that you simply apply to yourself. So you can be Russian American, Serbian American, toaster American, whatever you can, medal American.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ivan,
yes.
очень приятно говорить с тобой.
Очень, да.
Ага.
Спасибо за все.
Спасибо, Иван, за гостование. А?
Thank you, Ivan, for your guest appearance.
Thank you. You're gonna translate, right?
Yeah.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me. It was.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It was an honor.
You know, my kid, she gets annoyed when somebody's repeating what she's saying. She gets so annoyed. It's ridiculous. So annoyed. And I just that's all I'm gonna say.
And you have to do it.
Sorry? Yeah,
and you absolutely have to do it.
Yeah, I absolutely have to do it. Like, it's,
of course.
I just feel bad, and I didn't want to say it. like I will get her worked up to a point. You know, I'm not gonna like persist. But I had many occasions where my wife would be like, "Dude, stop it.
Stop it."
Yeah, really, Ivan. Thank you for being a guest. It was enlightening for me. But I do still have many questions. Obviously, I'm a father of two children who are about to, very soon grow up to be teenagers. So I'm scared.
How old?
I'm scared. Well, the younger one is about to turn 2 years old. So they're very, very, very young. But still, the time flies. Everybody's scaring me with that. So sooner rather than later, I'm gonna have two teenage girls running around and Snapchatting or whatever the trend is gonna be when they end up being teenagers. So yeah. Thank you for the insight.
I half expected you to say you're going to say, "I'm a father of two Russian teenagers."
No,
that's horrible.
I don't see myself moving to Russia.
Yet.
The thing is, all the same problems that I would move away from in Serbia, I think I would encounter them in Russia too.
And that is true. Yeah, that's true.
So how about you? Are you visiting Russia?
Me?
Yes. Or just Ukraine?
I visited Russia when I was younger, because my other grandparents were in Russia, in Kaliningradska Oblast.
And that's all you needed.
Yeah, but I mean, after the conflict started with Russia and Ukraine, that is when I stopped going to Ukraine, and my grandparents actually came here to help with my mom, because my mom, she also had her PhD, but she couldn't work because she was staying at home with the kids. But she obviously wanted to work, so she got a job, and someone had to stay with my brother Nicholas. I have 3 siblings.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And actually, I was going to tell you, Miloš, one thing, like if I could say anything from at least what I saw from how my parents raised me and now raising my brother, who's 10 years younger than me, I would strongly advise to be very careful with video games with younger children. Because what I've noticed is that when I was young, I would play with, soldiers. And I mean, I don't know, I don't have any evidence to back this up, but I felt that I'm much more creative and independent now because of that. Because I only started playing video games when I was like 13, 12. My little brother is 6, and that's all he does.
Good for you, man.
And he doesn't, like, when he has a bunch of toys, you leave him, he's like, "What do I do?" And we're like, "You play. You're a kid. Play with toys." And he's like, "I don't know how. Someone has to play with me. Someone has to show me how." So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, gotta say, I'm reading a lot on these topics, to be honest, and like I'm not giving in terms of my kids being like, "Dad, I'm bored." I don't care. Like I'm not supposed to cure your boredom. You're a kid. Find something to play with. So that's also kind of my position, and we absolutely took away their ability to them cut their hands off, but we're not giving them our phones or the tablet. we're not giving them, because I've seen what the thing does to them. You give it to them a little bit, they play, do stuff, and then when you want to take it away from them, they become the most spoiled little monsters. And I've learned from that, from experience. So I'm going to shield them from it in a way as much as I can, while trying to educate them. And it's gonna take time. It's gonna take patience. It's gonna be the biggest challenge of my life. But I also kind of have this argumentation, that I intend to use, which is, I grew up with technology. That was developing, and I live out of technology. I'm using and reshaping technology and reapplying technology to solve different problems, and that's my occupation. So I also, because of that, I have a better insight than most into how technology works and what the problems are. So I think I'm gonna be able to explain. If the kids end up being at least a tiny bit reasonable, I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work. The only thing I'm afraid of is the moment when they just decide to create their own identity, which is kids do that. When they're young, they have your identity. You participated 90% in building their identity. This is what they that's what we would say. This is what they were bringing with them from home. But then they want to create an independent person out of themselves, and that's the moment that I'm afraid of. That's where I don't really know how it's gonna go. And finally, before I let you go, how did your parents educate you on God and Christianity? That is something I'm dying to hear from somebody like you.
So I can tell you, they didn't push it hard, and that is something I see a lot of people do. And I hear in school, I often hear that, oh, my parents are super religious, and I'm not. I went away from that. And my parents never really went really hard with religion. We never we never really prayed together or something like that. But when I would ask my dad, hey, what was the best day of your life? And he'll be like, oh, it was the day I went to the church. And when I was young, I didn't understand. I was like, what's not your wedding, not this huge party you had when you went to church, the place we go when we have to stand 2 hours, what? Yeah. But then later I could see that was very important to them, and I could truly see that. And I would say the most crucial moments was when I was seeing them, that was so important to them, and it wasn't just something they were doing, and I was just drawing myself to it. So that's how that happened to me. I mean, I was also an altar from a very young age, 8. So I was exposed to it a lot, because I know a lot of children, even in my church, they just go downstairs and play in the basement while the service is going on. So yeah, I would say
that's my problem, because kids like to play in the church yard. We don't have a basement in the church. We have a yard. Obviously, when the winter comes, it's a bit different. But God only knows now, because of the Corona pandemic, how things are gonna work. Gotta say, I'm very much uncertain. These are uncertain times. But it makes sense. They took you with them, right, to church, because when you're a kid, where the parents go, you go. But at some point, were you offered choice? You sometimes I'm sorry, I don't want to go today, and then you have this autonomy now?
What happened to me is I remember this very clearly. It was the first time I went to the altar. So I would always play. And then one day, my dad was like, oh, the deacon wants to see you. So I come up to the ikonostase, and I'm standing there, and I'm waiting for a deacon to tell me something I don't know, you need to be quiet or something, and go back. But he takes me inside the altar, and I was like, what is going on? And then I just remember everyone spinning around me, getting my vestment on, and telling me, hold your candle, go there. And I just started going to the altar. And then eventually, I really liked it. I mean, for me, I'd say actually when I was young, the number one reason I went to the altar is because the service went way faster. When you're you're doing something, it feels like 20 minutes instead of 2 hours.
We all know that very well, especially the priests.
Yeah.
It's easy for them. It's easy for them to hold like a 2.5 hour service.
Yeah, that's so true.
So yeah, but also, I mean, sometimes serving was more difficult. I remember one day, I don't know, for a very long time, I thought that because I always knew you shouldn't eat before church, but I also thought you shouldn't drink before church because in the communion prayer they say, or my priest always says, only those who haven't ate or drank from 12 o'clock midnight should go into communion. So I also thought you shouldn't drink. And then a couple times I would stay up very late the night before church.
Yeah.
Playing video games or something. And then I'd be very tired in church and I wouldn't drink anything. And so the first time I was standing with my candle and I started feeling dizzy. And I almost passed out and but caught myself. I was fine. The second time I was also feeling dizzy, and I knew that this time, I'm dizzy. I'm just going to walk into altar, pretend I forgot what it was supposed to. I just went early. So I go into the altar. I'm walking. I'm like, I'm so good. This time people won't know. People won't see me stutter or anything. And then I trip, and I just slam into the wall. And nobody sees this, so everyone just assumes I just fell.
Yeah.
And then the whole service stops, looks back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awkward.
Yeah.
You must have felt exposed or something.
Yeah, I was. Oh, it was rough, but life went on. So
you survived.
Yeah.
Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you for the insight. We absolutely wish you massive success in your study of physics. I mean, if you want us to put a good word with some professor or something, I mean, just say it. Like,
with God of physics.
Well, God of physics is the same God that is the God of biology, for example. One God. Hey, one God. Hey, hello.
Yeah, but if he's into physics, can we trust him? Wait, is that me on the wall? Oh God, why? I just noticed.
Damn! Look at that. Damn, son, what is that? It's like I can't believe you. First of all, I can't believe you have his photo on the wall. Just let me say that. And second of all, I can't believe you have that photo, which is literally like a mugshot.
I was like, you're like, here's the link, and I'm like, I have 10 minutes. How do I prepare? I'm like, you know what? I'll print out a picture and put it on my wall.